Have you ever opened your refrigerator, looked at the leftovers from yesterday, and felt like you were doing the right thing by reheating them? It's more economical, more convenient, and it seems completely safe. But what very few people are ever told is this: some foods, once reheated a second time, are no longer the same as they were before. They change, not in the way they smell, not in the way they taste, but in what they do inside your body. Especially when it comes to your pancreas, an organ that works quietly every single day, yet is extremely sensitive to small changes in your diet. Pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest forms of cancer, with a 5-year survival rate of under 13%. And the most concerning part? It rarely gives early warning signs. No pain, no clear signals, nothing strong enough to catch your attention until things have already progressed too far. I've met many people who believed they were eating fairly healthy, yet they held on to small daily habits that seemed harmless, and over time those very habits placed continuous stress on their bodies, especially in their own kitchens. Today, I want you to take a closer look at something very familiar: reheating food. Not all foods, but there are certain ones that, when heated a second time, can lead to changes your body does not want. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 5 of the most common ones, along with simple ways you can still enjoy them more safely, because sometimes the biggest difference in your health doesn't come from major changes. It comes from the small habits you repeat every single day. Number 1. Fried foods. The problem isn't the food itself. It's what happens the second time you heat it. Think about a very familiar situation. Last night, you had fried chicken or French fries. There were leftovers, so you put them in the fridge. The next morning or at lunch, you take them out, reheat them in a pan with a little oil, or simply pop them in the microwave. Everything still looks fine. The smell is still appealing. The taste is still just as good as yesterday. But what's changed isn't something you can see. When fried foods are heated a second time, especially if you reuse oil or add fresh oil, the structure of the fats inside begins to shift. Common cooking oils like soybean, corn, and sunflower oil are quite sensitive to heat. Once they've been exposed to high temperatures repeatedly, they no longer stay in their original form. Instead, they begin to form oxidized compounds, unstable molecules that tend to attack cells in your body. You can think of it like this: the first time you fry food, it's like burning clean fuel. But when you burn it again, that fuel is no longer pure. It produces more smoke, and your body is the one that has to deal with it. Over time, if this happens regularly, a few times a week, over months or even years, it can contribute to low-grade inflammation in the body. And that constant, quiet inflammation is something many organs, including the pancreas, have to deal with. This is especially important as we get older. The body doesn't recover as quickly as it once did, and small, repeated stresses can build into something much bigger over time. You may not feel it right away. There are no obvious signs after each meal, and that's exactly what makes this habit worth paying attention to. So, what should you do? First, avoid reheating fried foods with oil, whether it's old oil or fresh oil. If you want to warm them up, use dry heat instead, an oven or an air fryer. This helps bring back the texture without adding extra stress to your body. Second, try to treat fried foods as something to enjoy fresh rather than something to store and reheat multiple times. And most importantly, you don't have to eliminate the foods you enjoy. You just need to understand how to use them in a way that doesn't make your body pay the price over time. Because sometimes simply changing how you reheat your food can change much more than you think. Number 2, cooked leafy greens. One of the healthiest foods you can eat can sometimes become a burden if it's handled the wrong way. Picture a very familiar evening. You saute a plate of leafy greens with garlic or make a simple vegetable soup. You eat part of it and store the rest in the fridge thinking, I'll just reheat it tomorrow. The next day, you take it out and put it in the microwave. Everything looks the same. The color is still green. The smell and taste are almost unchanged, and that's exactly why we assume nothing has changed. But inside, the story isn't quite that simple. Leafy greens, like spinach, kale, or amaranth, naturally contain nitrates. In their fresh state, and when cooked properly, this isn't a problem at all. Your body handles them just fine. However, once these vegetables are cooked, cooled, and stored for a period of time, natural changes can begin to occur, especially if storage conditions aren't ideal. When you reheat them, some of these compounds may continue to shift in ways your body doesn't necessarily benefit from. You can think of it like this. The first time you cook them, you're preparing the food for your body. But the second time you heat them, it's like repeating a process when the original structure is no longer intact. Some nutrition research has shown that improper handling and storage of vegetables can alter their chemical composition over time. For example, reports from the World Health Organization, along with analyses in food safety research, have highlighted that certain unwanted compounds may form in prepared or reheated foods, particularly in nitrate-rich vegetables. The key point here isn't that greens become dangerous. It's that the way we use them can create unnecessary stress on the body, especially when this becomes a repeated habit. As we age, digestion and metabolism are no longer as flexible as they once were. Small changes in food, things you can't see, can still make your body work harder to process them. You may not notice it right away. No pain, no obvious discomfort. And that's exactly the kind of subtle impact many people overlook. So, what's the solution? It's actually very simple. If possible, eat your vegetables right after cooking. If there are leftovers, you can enjoy them cold, tossed into a salad, wrapped, or combined with other dishes. This way, you preserve their nutritional value without adding another round of heat. And if you do need to reheat them, keep it to a minimum. Once is enough. Avoid reheating the same portion multiple times. Sometimes we focus so much on what to eat for health that we forget how we eat matters just as much. With leafy greens, the best thing you can do for your body is to keep things as simple as possible. Number 3, rice. Sometimes the risk has no smell, no taste, but it's still there. Think about a very common habit. You cook a large pot of rice in the morning or evening. You eat one portion, then leave the rest out for a while to cool, before putting it in the refrigerator. The next day, you take it out, reheat individual portions, and keep using it. Everything seems completely normal. There's no strange smell, no obvious sign of spoilage, and that's exactly why most people don't question it. But what you can't see is the most important part. In raw rice, there can be bacteria in a dormant form called spores. When you cook rice, high heat can kill most active bacteria. But these spores can survive. And as the rice begins to cool, especially if it sits at room temperature for too long, that's when they wake up. They begin to grow, quietly. No smell, no clear warning signs. You can think of it like this, like a seed lying still in dry soil. But once the conditions are right, it starts to grow. The concern is that some of these bacteria can produce toxins. And importantly, those toxins are not always completely destroyed when you reheat the rice, which means you may heat the rice again, but not necessarily remove what has already formed. In younger people, the body may handle this better. But in older adults, digestion tends to be more sensitive, and small, repeated exposures can make the body feel more strained over time, even if you don't notice it right away. You may not always experience obvious symptoms like stomach pain or discomfort. But if mild inflammation happens repeatedly in the gut, it can affect the entire digestive system and indirectly place extra stress on related organs. So, what should you do? First, cool rice as quickly as possible, ideally within 1 hour after cooking. Avoid leaving it at room temperature for too long. When storing it, divide the rice into smaller portions instead of keeping it all in one large container. This helps it cool faster and more evenly. Only keep rice in the refrigerator for a short period, ideally within 24 hours, and once it has been reheated, eat that portion completely. Don't put it back and reheat it again later. These aren't big changes, but small habits like these can make a very real difference over time, because sometimes what affects your health isn't just what you eat, but how you handle it afterward. Number 4. Chicken. Hot on the outside doesn't always mean safe on the inside. Think about a very familiar meal. You roasted or boiled chicken the day before. There are a few pieces left, so you store them in the fridge. The next day, you take them out and microwave them for 1 to 2 minutes. You touch it. It feels hot. You can even see steam rising, and you think, that should be enough. But here's the problem. The heat you feel doesn't always reflect what's actually happening inside. A microwave heats food very differently from an oven. It excites water molecules to generate heat, but not every part of the chicken has the same moisture, thickness, or structure. The result? Some areas become very hot, while others may not reach a temperature that's truly safe. You can picture it like this. One part of the chicken is in summer, while another part is still in early spring. And those not hot enough spots are exactly where bacteria can survive, especially if the food was contaminated or not handled properly before. Health authorities like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have repeatedly warned that poultry is one of the most common sources linked to bacteria such as Salmonella when it isn't cooked or reheated properly. Similarly, the United States Department of Agriculture recommends that reheated poultry should reach a safe, even temperature throughout the thickest part to ensure it's fully safe to eat. As we age, the immune and digestive systems don't respond as strongly as they once did. That means the body may have a harder time handling food that hasn't been heated properly. It doesn't always lead to obvious food poisoning. But small, repeated effects, like mild indigestion, slight bloating, or feeling unusually tired after eating, can be signs your body is working harder to cope. And, over time, that creates unnecessary strain on your digestive system. So, what should you do? If you're using a microwave, cut the chicken into smaller, even pieces before reheating. This helps the heat distribute more evenly. During reheating, pause halfway through to stir or flip the pieces instead of heating everything in one go. After heating, let the food rest for 1 to 2 minutes. The heat will continue to spread evenly inside. If possible, an oven is still the better option. It provides more consistent heat. Or even simpler, you can enjoy the chicken cold, added to a salad, or wrapped in a light meal. It's convenient and avoids the risks of uneven reheating. Because sometimes what makes food unsafe isn't the food itself. It's the moment we think we've done enough, when in reality, we're just a step short. Number 5. Potatoes. A food that seems so simple can change completely after just one reheating. Think about a tray of roasted potatoes from yesterday. Lightly golden on the outside, soft on the inside. You didn't finish them, so you put them in the fridge. The next day, you take them out, reheat them in a pan with a little oil, or microwave them for a few minutes. The aroma is still familiar. It still tastes just as good. But what's changed isn't something you notice right away. When potatoes are cooked and then cooled, part of their starch turns into what's called resistant starch, a type that digests more slowly and helps your body handle energy more steadily. That's one reason cooled potatoes, when used properly, can offer certain metabolic benefits. But when you reheat those potatoes, especially at high heat or by frying them again, that structure begins to shift. Some of that starch converts back into a form that's digested more quickly. You can think of it like this. When it's cooled, it acts like a steady, slow-release source of energy. But after high reheating, it becomes a faster-moving energy source, which your body has to process in a shorter amount of time. In addition, when potatoes are exposed to high heat multiple times, especially when the surface is dry and comes into contact with oil, certain unwanted compounds can form during these heat reactions. This doesn't mean potatoes are bad. The issue is how you prepare them and how often that pattern repeats during the week. As we get older, the body's ability to regulate blood sugar and metabolism isn't as flexible as it once was. Small changes in food structure can make a meaningful difference over time. You may not notice it after a single meal, but if it happens repeatedly, your body has to work harder to keep up. So, what should you do? If possible, try eating potatoes after they've cooled, like a simple potato salad with olive oil, a little vinegar, and fresh herbs. This helps preserve the benefits of that changed starch structure. If you prefer them warm, reheat gently, just enough to take the chill off, not piping hot. And most importantly, avoid frying potatoes again after they've already been cooked. That combination, high heat a second time plus oil, is something you want to limit, because sometimes it's not the food itself, but what you do to it the second time that makes the biggest difference for your body. Not every food on today's list is bad, and you don't have to remove all of them from your diet. What truly makes the difference is how you use them every day. Small habits, like how you reheat your food, how you store it, or simply whether you reheat it multiple times, are the things that quietly add up over time. And your body keeps track of all of it. The good news is your body also has an incredible ability to recover if you start making adjustments today. You don't have to change everything at once. Just start with a simple 7-day challenge. Avoid reheating fried foods in oil. Eat vegetables right after cooking or enjoy them cold store rice properly and avoid reheating it multiple times. Reheat food more thoroughly, especially meats, and try eating cooled potatoes at least once. After 7 days, come back and ask yourself, does your body feel any different? And if you're open to it, share your experience. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to start making a change. If you found this helpful, feel free to leave a comment. I'd really like to know which habit you're planning to change first. And if you're caring for your parents, loved ones, or simply want to take better care of your own health over time, you can save this video or follow the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Because in the end, health doesn't come from one big decision. It comes from the small choices you repeat every single day.